Hi, families of little mathematicians. So once your child has a fairly strong sense of what a numeral is and the quantity that's usually associated with that numeral and the word for that number, they're ready to kind of start moving on and thinking about a little bit deeper about relationships between numbers. We talked a little bit about this in the last video, but we practice a lot with composing and decomposing numbers. Composing numbers is putting numbers together, and decomposing numbers is taking them apart. So there was one game called Make It Three Ways where we were given a whole. So our whole was 5. We put it here. And then we were trying to make that whole 3 different ways. So we had these 2-sided beans. We have a red side and a white side. Again, you can use coins. And I was just spilling them. So I dump and spill. And here I had 3 and 2. So I took my 5 and I put it into 2 white parts and 3 red parts. I could spill it again. Maybe this time I'll get 4 and 1 or 5 and 0. And that's one way I help to practice seeing with the visual of the quantity of how many. I practice seeing it being broken into different parts. Another way that I can do that is simply take, like this is 10. I can just practice breaking 10. And so now I've got 7 and 3 is 10, or 2 and 8 is 10. Another way I can do it is this. And I can break 10 on my reckon rack. So maybe I move 3 and I'm left with 7. Or I move 8 and I'm left with 2. So those are within 10, but that's exactly what we're practicing. Now, to help me think about this, we use different structures. Where is it? Oh, there it is. We use different structures. And so we use things like number bonds. Now, a number bond demonstrates the whole being broken into 2 parts. So it would be like I had 5 was my whole. And maybe I have 5 of these. And I would break 5 linking cubes into a part. And then I would have another part down here. Okay, so that's how we talk about it. Wholes and parts, and we use number bonds to help us organize that thinking. Something else that we do is we have math talk mats where we have our number bond already kind of filled out with just a missing number. So here we have our whole is 10. So if I wanted to figure this out, I would need a whole of 10. So here is 10. And then I would break it into 5 I would break it, that did not break into 5. I would break it into 5, and then I would see how many I had left, and that would be 5. So when I'm talking about this, I would say the whole is 10, one part is 5, and the other part is also 5. Or the whole number is 10, one part is 5, the other part is 5. It's good to have that verbal practice of wholes and parts. It leads into helping us think about addition and subtraction. You can also do something with dominoes. You can see 2 is one part, 6 is the other part. What's the whole? It'd be 8. You can roll dice. Same thing. So you can roll dice. I had 3 as one part and 2 as my other part. 5 is my whole. You can put it on a plate. This is a fun one. I rolled up 5 little balls of Play-Doh. Here are my 5 balls of Play-Doh. And the biggest portion size is our whole, and then we can split it into parts on the bottom. I can actually move materials. Again, I just used Play-Doh and rolled it up, so I got the practice of counting to 5, and now I get the practice of breaking it into 2 different parts. So I would say 4 and 1 is 5. I have these math monsters that we sometimes use at school, and the math monster eats a certain number, and here we have the math monster eating 5, so I'm just going to take those Play-Doh parts, and I'm going to eat them, and the math monster then spits them out into either hand, so it looks like this, he spits it out, and it became 2 and 3. So I would put 2 on one side and 2 on one side and 3 on the other. All of these are different models or ways to think about all of the word families or number families. We call them number families because they work together, and it looks like this. So we get to go ahead and start thinking about math equations once we get really familiar with the way that a number decomposes, or two numbers compose to another number. This is essentially addition and subtraction. So our whole was 5. 4 and 1 make 5. These are our parts. 1 and 4 make 5. 5 take away 1 equals 4, or 5 minus 4 equals 1. That's how all of these things play together. Now there is a game that I really like to play. It's called pairs to whatever number it is that you're practicing. So you could do pairs to 2, pairs to 3. I recommend starting at pairs to 5 so you have enough pairs to work with. But I just wrote all of the numbers through 5 on cards, and I made lots of them, and I shuffle them up, and I will show you what the game looks like. So you lay them out on the table in front of you, and you put 4 out at a time. And you're looking for pairs to 5, and it's kind of a speed game. You can race somebody else or just race yourself. So 2 and 3, and then I refill. 4 and 1, and then I refill. All right, 5 and 0. 5 and 0. And I can do this with all of the numbers through 10. And it's just a pretty fun, quick game to really solidify what you know about the parts and wholes. One of the tools that we have that we don't talk a lot about are our fingers, but you can always just play around with your fingers. You can tuck them behind your back and say, show me 5. Okay, now show me 5 in a new way using both hands. Man, now I've got to think about it. There's my 3 and 2. So that's another way to do that. Breaking numbers apart and is called decomposing, and putting them together is called composing. We use number bonds to really kind of help us hold or organize our math thinking, and the words whole and parts. All right, have fun practicing the next level.